live from TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin County Radio, 89.5 FM, KBCC Tracy. We are a local nonprofit multimedia company community broadcasting network. I'll get that down one of these days. And I'm super, super thrilled. I have one of my favorite people in the world here, Pam Van Allen, who is a fellow author, very successful, and she has several books out, which I have here. She writes in the rock music genre, isn't that? Is that it? Is it a romance rock? Is that what it is? Or
it's all kinds of subgenres: romance, fantasy, science fiction.
Cool.
Alternative history.
Ooh, I like it. So there you go. A little bit for everybody. Yeah, so this is good. I like that. So Pam is in my writer group, I'm a brand new writer, you guys all know. So Pam's in my writer group, and when I asked her to come on, she was very agreeable. So welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Now, I have your books here, and I'm going to hold them up, but why don't we start with you giving us a little history of yourself real quick?
I have a PhD in clinical psychology.
Didn't we say earlier there was cynical psychology?
Slip of the tongue. And I retired in 2014 from Kaiser Permanente here in the Central Valley, and found that I was a little bored.
Okay.
So I thought, well, what can I do besides help people improve with their mental problems? And I thought, I can write.
There you go.
So I thought, what do I want to write about? Well, I like music a lot. So a Facebook friend of mine named Brian Paoni had novelized an album by the Electric Light Orchestra called Time, and the book was really good. So I thought, well, there's another concept album by Electric Light Orchestra that I could novelize called El Dorado. So I got to work on it. And a year later, I had written this book.
Awesome. And this is your first book then.
That's my
So we
first
have
book.
Midnight on the Water, and look at this gorgeous cover. I don't know if you can really see how well, but it's a good size too. It's bigger than my books.
300 pages. The cover depicts the first line of the first song on the album is Midnight on the Water, I saw the ocean's daughter. Ooh. So this, I hope I didn't just violate a copyright. So this is the ocean's daughter walking on the water from the song Can't Get It Out of My Head. The book goes through each song on the album, explaining the story, because when a musician writes a song, they keep things vague. When a novelist writes a book, they nail down the details and explain exactly what's going on in images and story and characterization. So I had to use a lot of imagination about what Jeff Lynne, the writer of the album, might have had in mind, and I probably went way beyond what he was thinking. But the basic story, shall I talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
The basic story is of a kind of a loser guy who isn't successful in life. He can't get a girlfriend. He's about to get fired from his job at a bank. His family is always criticizing him, and he just can't seem to get it right. He begins to have these vivid dreams, and he goes to all these wonderful exotic places where he's the hero and he's the center of the action. So the album describes these vivid dreams, and the book goes into the detail about the dreams.
Cool.
But unfortunately for Horace, the name of the main character, and ELO fans will recognize that's the name of a character from another Electric Light Orchestra song.
Yeah.
Can't deal with the reality while he's having these dreams. His life starts to fall apart. So he seeks a way to have less exciting dreams so that he can live his life and still escape into his dreams. He encounters some figures in, let's just say, dodgy is the British word for it. Dodgy means kind of off the beaten track, off base. Dodgy areas of London.
Okay. So this is set in London.
This is set in England. Yeah.
Okay.
Where he encounters an alchemist. Let's just call it that.
Ooh, I love alchemists.
Who starts,
but is a modern day alchemist?
It's a modern day alchemist who starts to teach him how he could channel his dreams. But then Horace encounters a monk.
Oh.
Who teaches him another way to channel his dreams.
Okay, so he's finding different individuals that will help him in a different way channel his dreams and kind of tone them down. Is that what he's trying to do so he can continue living his life?
Well, he actually turns this curse of dreams into enlightenment.
Oh, good.
That's the story, the end of the story. It's a story of redemption.
I love it. Oh, a good story of redemption. There's nothing better, is there? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's awesome. So how long did it take you to write this?
About a year.
About a year.
I had it professionally edited, and, that's a long process.
Yes, it is.
And I had the cover professionally designed.
It's gorgeous.
So I probably wrote it in 9 months, but then all those other
Yeah, you get the manuscript out, but then, the book, you say, like, I'm done, but you just began. Right. You're only a quarter of the way done. Right. Yeah. So you wrote this in 2014, am I getting that right?
16. 17.
You retired in 2014, right. And then it took you some time to figure out what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
Now, had you always played around with writing?
Well, I published many professional articles, and I hadn't written any professional psychologist.
Okay, so what's the difference? Yeah, tell me the difference, because I'm going to mess it up.
A psychologist has a PhD in psychology, or some psychologists have other degrees that are always doctorates.
Okay.
And we don't practice medicine. Although I have an additional degree called a Master's of Science in Clinical Psychopharmacology that allows me to prescribe medication in some states.
Not California.
Not
California. Okay.
Psychiatrists are MDs who are trained in medical school. They go through a different kind of training after they get out of medical school. We do an internship and what's called a postdoctoral training. We end up having about the same number of years of training as psychiatrists, except their training is in medicine, and our training is primarily in psychotherapy and behavioral change.
Okay, so you're using other avenues than medication mostly in order to manipulate behavior, basically, or modify behavior.
Mm-hmm. Psychiatrists primarily use medication, and psychologists primarily use psychotherapy.
So when you say psychotherapy, it's behavior modification, right? I mean, psychotherapy. What is that? So what does that look like? Counseling and like activities that you would do to change? That's right.
Counseling, journaling, recommending that patients try different ways to change their behavior and see what the effects are for them in their particular lives.
Yeah. So how long did you practice here in Stockton?
I was here for 15 years, and I practiced in Tennessee for another 17 years.
And that's where the lovely accent comes from.
Yeah.
That's neat. So what brought you to California?
Oh, California is the place to be.
Is it? I think I heard that on some show once upon a time when I was a child.
Yeah, I just needed to be in a place where people looked at each other through different eyes.
Oh, okay. That's kind of neat. Now, so it wasn't work that brought you here or anything. You made a choice to move here.
Well, I found a job before I moved here.
Right. But you looked for a job in California.
I looked for a job specifically in Northern California, yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's pretty neat. My mom did the same thing. She moved out here, too, by choice. So I was born in Alabama and raised in Georgia. So I grew up in Georgia. At 13, was moved out to California. So that was quite a lifestyle change for me.
Well, you have a little bitty drawl.
When my husband says when I'm really, really tired, I might say something like, "Night, y'all," or something like that. And he says then he can hear it. But after all these years, I'm a California girl, 100%. So... Well, let's get back to writing because that's the topic for the day. So this is the first book, and it took you about a year to write it and all the editing and stuff. Or so it took you about a year to write this. And how many words is this book? Do you know?
65,000.
65,000.
300
It's
pages.
beautiful, and I love the white letter or page, and with the nice font. It's gorgeous, and it's perfect for my eyes. So it's beautifully done.
Thank you.
Now let's talk a little bit about your second book here. We've got 5 Legends, 5 Guitars. So we're in the same basic theme of the first book. It's still music themed. So is this ELO now?
Well, a member of ELO is in this book. This book is about the Traveling Wilburys from the late 1980s. The Traveling Wilburys were a super group consisting of George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Roy Orbison, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne.
Wow, what time frame was this?
1988 was when they started in 87 and their record came out. Then they did another one in 1990. So they only did 2 records. Roy Orbison died after their first record.
Oh,
yeah,
so he wasn't on the second record.
wasn't on the
And what was the name again? The Traveling
Wilburys.
Wilburys. I feel like I've heard that before.
It was just a silly name they came
Yeah.
up with. And they pretended to be other people on the
Oh.
album. They used different names. So the only way you knew it was them was by the photo on the album cover.
Really? Why do you think that they did that? What's the story behind it?
They just didn't want to deal with being famous and,
They just wanted to
this
play
is
music.
George Harrison and Bob Dylan. They just wanted to play music.
Yeah.
Exactly. They just wanted to
Yeah.
have a good time and get together with their friends and have some fun playing music.
That's cool.
So this is part fiction, part fact.
Okay.
I researched it extensively. There's a full bibliography in the back of the book. And I wove the facts into the fictional part. So my Traveling Wilburys are from an alternate universe.
Okay.
And they have the names in their real lives that our Traveling Wilburys in this universe took as fictional.
Okay.
They're well, yeah, I won't go into the details of what they call themselves. They're just funny names that they took from other performers and people they admired. So these Traveling Wilburys from another universe have superpowers.
Okay.
Which really jazzes up the story. Because
Yeah.
if I just tell the story about how they recorded the album, it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They used what kind of guitars? Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah. We've had story after story after story of that, right? So you jazzed it up with a little sci-fi.
I did.
All right.
Or you could call it fantasy
Is it
or
fantasy?
alternative history.
Okay.
Or it's, it's a little bit of all of that.
Okay.
But the facts, I think the facts are pretty clear. And if you know the least thing about any of the singers involved, you'll know which are facts and which are not facts either. So, for example, Jeff Lynne is considered one of the greatest producers of the 20th century. I mean, in real life, not just in the book. And my alternate universe, Jeff Lynne, is a great producer because he can shoot lightning out of his fingers.
Ooh.
And he can make the board do anything he wants just by
just magically
lightning
almost.
it. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so that's how they could record this album, write the songs and record the album so quickly because he can just go in the studio and go chung, chung,
Wow,
chung.
that's cool. And every recording engineer wishes they had that power.
Right. I won't tell you what the character that stands in for Bob Dylan's secret superpower is because it's a secret.
Is it? Got to read the book to
Until
find
halfway
out.
through the book.
You got to read to find out.
Tom Petty's character can predict the future. And,
Ooh.
I'm not sure that I made that up entirely because when you study Tom Petty's life, sometimes it seemed like he really could predict the future.
Yeah.
So each character has their own superpower and each contributes to the music using his superpower, and each has their own character arc through the story.
Wow.
Which resolves by the end.
So are they all heroes?
Well, it depends on what you mean by heroes.
Well, I mean, they have superpowers, and when we think of superpowers, we think of either they're going to be supervillains or they're going to be superheroes. So are they just regular guys?
Ah, I see what you mean. In this universe, the Wilburys, there's a whole family of Wilburys, thousands of them. And
Okay.
some of them have superpowers and some of them don't, but the whole family keeps their powers secret.
Oh, so even in this universe, it's still a secret. It's not like everybody's walking around with superpowers.
No.
Gotcha. And so they're just trying to blend in.
Right,
Okay, and still make music magically
right.
with their powers.
You
That's
got it.
cool. So when did you write this book?
I started it just as soon as I got Midnight on the Water out.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, are these self-published?
Yes.
Oh, good for you. Wow. So that you self-published this in 2016. It's kind of on the beginning of the real drive to self-publish, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So good for you. Now, what made you decide to self-publish versus going with a traditional publicist?
Well, I have other author friends, and they were suffering just trying to get an agent or a publisher to even answer their email.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm already old. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And I don't. People think that there's more prestige in
I know.
traditional publishing. That if you can get a real publisher to like your book and to put it out, and then you don't have to spend any money on editing, people think, oh, you must be a really good author.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come out that way.
Right.
It turns out that some self-published books are better
Yes.
than some traditionally published books. It depends on how much effort and how much excellence the self-published author puts into it.
Right.
There's some self-published works that the author didn't put very much effort into and just puts it up there,
And you can
it's,
tell.
and it's not
Yeah.
well written, and it's not well edited, and
Yeah.
you can barely read it.
Yeah.
And there's some traditionally published works that I'm surprised to say are full of typos and
yes.
plot holes and errors, and I'm like, how did this get
Yeah.
published by
The
Doubleday?
lines have become very blurred.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be very clear what you're saying, that traditional publicists, you expected the books to be super well edited, super well written, no typos, go through all the proofreaders, the covers are amazing, and the indie authors you would be like a lower level, kind of like an A movie and a B movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the case anymore. And I think that, especially with authors like yourself who are putting out such amazing work, and Harlan Higgs, who's putting out amazing work, and Scott
Right.
Evans, and all of the people, you're really showing that that's not the truth of it. Quite frankly, I picked up a traditional book this weekend that I bought, and was really. And I'm a brand new author since August, right? So I'm still way preschool level. I'm learning, all of the industry and all of it and the writing. And I thought, well, I'm going to pick up this traditionally published book that just came out, and I'm going to see, because I've been reading nothing but indie books recently, because I want to make sure that I really dive into that. I want to support those authors. But this one traditional book was an author that I've read for years, decades, and I couldn't believe it. I read her with a new set of eyes, and she used 3 different tenses in one paragraph. And I was like, no, and then 4 typos in the first page. But I'm seeing it with different eyes now. That could all very well have been going on her entire writing career, and I've read probably 20 of her books, and I just never picked up on it before.
Well, that's right. When you're a writer, you scrutinize your own work to eliminate those kinds of errors. And when you're not a writer, you're not so picky.
You're not so picky. Right, you're not. Well, my first printing of my book had 35 solid typos in them that I couldn't see them anymore because I simply had reading, and you get like almost page blindness.
Absolutely.
Like you can't see your own work. Like you already know the story. And so I learned that I don't just need an editor, now I need a proofreader.
Right.
And the second book that I printed was much better. The second book, that I'm just now printing for the first time. I mean, it's out, but you can only buy it on Amazon.
Nice.
It had typos in it, but it wasn't because of the proofreader. It was because of a font I had chosen didn't embed correctly. So that was a formatting issue that I had to learn. So I've learned a lot on these first 2 books, but we'll talk about my books later. I want to stay on your books. So when did this second book come out? And this one feels heavier. Is it longer?
No, it has a different type of page. It's a cream instead of white. It came out in December of 2018.
Okay, so this is new. It feels really good. And who did your cover art?
Kyle, you would ask me his name and I don't remember.
That's okay. Is it in the copyright page?
It's in the acknowledgments.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to read all that.
Lechner.
Lechner.
There, it was in my brain. Kyle Lechner. And
is he local?
No, I met him on Facebook.
Facebook is amazing.
Yeah.
I love Facebook. It's where all my people are. Well, it's beautiful. It's really well done, and I think it speaks exactly what you're talking about. And that's one of the things that they talk a lot about is covers reflecting what's inside the book. Because otherwise people don't know what they're buying.
Right.
So this is great. And so how are you enjoying being a writer?
Well, it's a lot. I don't want to say it's better than being a psychologist, but it's not nearly as stressful.
And it's a lot more fun. It's fun to be a writer, isn't it?
There are fun moments in practicing psychology, too, but they're much fewer and farther between.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
But it's good work that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you miss working, or are you happy to be retired?
No, I don't miss it. Oh, I can't believe I said that.
Well, hey, there you go. You did your time.
And yes, I'm happy to be retired.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Well, I mean, you're not really retired because now you're a full-time author. Right? And so do you have another book you're working on right now?
Yes, I'm working on a trilogy.
Ooh.
It's a novelization of another Electric Light Orchestra album. This one is not a concept album, but I'm finding a story in it. It's called Secret Messages.
Ooh.
And it was originally issued in 1983 as a single album. Last year, it was issued as the original double album that it was meant to be, but the record company told Electric Light Orchestra, no, you can't have a double album. We only want a single album. Because they couldn't make as much money off it.
So record labels are kind of like traditional publishers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Money, money, money.
Now, is ELO still playing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I grew up with them, and I'm afraid to say I listen to mostly Disney soundtracks now. That's the most music I listen to.
They put out a new album last month called From Out of Nowhere. It's brilliant. Go buy it immediately. And I saw them in Sacramento in June.
Awesome. Where did you see them? At the
Arco? Golden One.
At Golden One. It used to be Arco Arena, right?
Well,
how many?
Downtown.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, on K Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm thinking of out on. It's, okay. Yeah. You can see I don't go to concerts very much. I don't like crowds, which you wouldn't know if this weekend, but hey, I put a costume on. I'm cool, but just going as me, it's a whole nother thing. Well, that's cool. So, what's the name of the book again?
The album?
No, the book that you're writing on now.
It's called, the trilogy is called Secret Messages.
Secret Messages.
The first book will be called, it's named Silent Voices Calling.
Okay.
The second book will be called Other Side of Midnight.
Oh.
I haven't named the third book yet because I haven't even started writing it.
Okay. Have you outlined the first 2 books?
I'm about fifth of the way through the second book.
Oh, wow. So you haven't just outlined them. You've actually... And what's your plans for releasing? Are you going to do a rapid release on all 3, or are you going to have them all 3 completed before you start releasing? What's your...
I'm going to finish them all.
Okay.
Or at least have them mostly written before I release the first one.
Yep.
Because what if I want to change something based on the end?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's right.
And then I'll probably release the other 2 every 6 months after that.
Every 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. that'll be good. And then you'll probably have other books that you're already working on when you're releasing those.
Probably.
Now, do you write every single day?
No, I work on something every single day.
Right.
I edit or work on somebody else's because I do beta reading and editing for other people.
And you're a critique group leader.
And I have some critique groups that I participate in.
Yeah.
But for my own stuff, I do something every other day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Well, I've learned that I try to write every single day on my books, but the month of December, forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't written a word in 3 weeks, which I have a halfway written book that's supposed to launch on, or is in pre-sale right now on Valentine's Day. It's supposed to launch, so I'm going to be kicking butt all the way through. But I feel pretty confident with this third book, and I've got the people already lined up and everybody knows what's happening, so I feel pretty good about it. The story is already there. I've outlined it. I've actually written it. Now it's just going through and making it coherent, right? So my writing style is I throw up the story, and then you have to go back and, like, people are, sometimes I'm like, I don't no idea what I just wrote here. Like, I have to figure out what I was trying to get to. Mm. And so what is your writing style? Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
I'm a pantser.
Okay, and so for those of you who don't understand what I'm saying, a pantser and a plotter. So there are two different ends of how you write a book and structure your writing style. A plotter is somebody who plots out everything before they start writing. They know the beginning, they know the end, they know the characters, they know everything that's going to happen. And then there's a pantser who literally sits down, writes by the seat of their pants. Mm-hmm. I'm an in-between. So I plot out my storyline. I already know my characters. My whole series is plotted out. But then I sit and write by the seat of my pants. So my plotting, sometimes my story outline will end up very different from what the finished product was.
Well, I say I'm a pantser, but of course I'm going by what's on the record.
Yeah. So you kind of have
some idea.
Yeah. You have an outline, really, then. It's just not a traditional outline.
Right.
Yeah, it's a musical outline.
Yeah.
You know, I got to say, I think writing based on albums is brilliant because you already have a fan base. Mm-hmm. People who love these bands are going to want to read your books. Mm-hmm. It's just reaching them. So, I mean, that's brilliant. That's really smart. And so do you belong to some of the music groups that are fan groups of these bands?
Oh, yes. I'm an admin in some of them.
Oh, good. And so how has that worked out for you?
I think I probably make most of my sales through the ELO groups on Facebook.
I would think so. I mean, that's your target group for sure. And how do you like marketing and stuff? Are you good at marketing? Do you like marketing? Is that something that because I know a lot of writers that's the part that they don't want to have to do is the marketing.
Well, Terry, I'm not nearly as good as you are.
Well, no, that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm kind of getting at, how you're marketing and your marketing style. I just bought the Mark Dawson's Ads for Authors. Did you buy it?
No, I haven't bought it.
Oh, yeah, I just bought it. I started to watch it last night, and then everybody kept interrupting me, which I hate because I love to work, actually. But then people need me.
Well, I think the key is that you can't cram things down people's throats.
Right.
Because that turns them off. So I just mention at appropriate times that, that reminds me of something in my novel.
Gotcha.
Midnight on the Water.
You're subtle.
Yeah.
You're subtle.
Try to be.
Not me. I'm like a hammer. A glittery hammer.
And no one comments when I've said, that's just like what happened in 5 Legends, 5 Guitars, but I get a blip on my sales chart. So somebody read it.
Good for you. Yeah, so you watch your sales chart through Amazon and Barnes & Nobles too. So I did something recently, which is a little bit of a experiment for me. I took all of my books off, all my ebooks off every platform and put them all into KU. Mm-hmm. And because that's what everybody's saying is where they get most of their money, their revenue from their books is through page reads. Now, what's really cool is what my demographic was showing is that so when you first start this industry, you look at the data, and 70% of all books purchased in only America, the U.S., are ebooks, right? Mm. And so that's what I went into this expecting, that ebooks would be most of my sales. And so I didn't worry too much about printing out my books except for when I have my launch parties. Well, what I experienced was an opposite. 70% of my sales are my paperbacks. Mm-hmm. And even from Amazon. So like 70% of my sales, I wasn't really selling that many ebooks. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't make sense for me to worry about leaving the ebooks there if I'm not selling them anyway. So I moved it over, and then the next step is taking out an ad. So I just took out 3 cute little ads for the ebooks, and my page reads are off the charts. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's something I want to share with the writers group. I think I have a workshop I'm going to do with you guys in March. So everything that I'm learning, I'll bring in, I'll talk 100 miles a minute and I'll forget 500 things that I want to tell you guys. But yeah, so have you considered doing that, or do you feel like that may not be a good fit for your demographic because you are going more after a music audience than a reading audience?
Well, I was on KU when I first published, and I was not getting much at all.
Did you do ads at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe in them, actually.
Okay.
But, some people, I guess, have success, and I just didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe when the next trilogy comes out and I really have a
audience
group of books to push, I might consider it.
Yeah.
The majority of my sales are also paperback. I have an international audience, though.
Cool.
About half of my sales are in Europe.
Yes.
And I have sales in Australia. Anywhere there's an ALO fan, I
well,
could get a
that makes
sale.
Sense, right? Yeah, that you would have a big overseas fan base. That makes a lot of sense. So, and they buy paperback as well over there?
Paperback, right.
Wow, that's cool. And is Amazon your main source of sales?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the monster in the room, And did you hear that they're actually opening brick and mortar stores?
I did. Full circle.
I know, full circle. Let's wipe out all the brick and mortar, and now let's open our own. I mean, it's actually good business strategy, but it just kind of sucks for the mom and pop stores, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so we got down the first 2. So let's say again, if anybody's interested, you can get these on Amazon. And then we're going to be doing some book signings this spring together, aren't we? At some wineries.
I'm sure we'll visit some wineries.
Which winery? Didn't you have one? Oak? What is it?
Omega Winery.
Omega.
We don't have a date yet.
Okay.
Probably February.
February looks really good for me, actually. That'd be great because that'd be right around my 3rd book launching.
Well, we'll just plan it for your 3rd book launching.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
So you can get so let's see. Here we go. I'm learning the cameras right now. So this first one is Midnight on the Water, and it is beautiful cover. You won't be upset with that. And I love the size of the book. I like the way it feels in my hand. That really means a lot to me. It's amazing now, my perspective on books when I pick them up, how they feel. And then her second book, 5 Legends, 5 Guitars. You don't want to miss this one. I feel like my husband would really like to read this. I think he would like both of your books because he's big in the music.
Well, this 5 Legends, 5 Guitars is more of a guy book, and this one is more of a woman book.
Is it? But he reads my books and loves them, so he's gonna love all books. But these are amazing. But I don't want to miss out on talking about your anthologies because personally, I am super. Look at these, you guys. She's got all of these. So the way it works with an anthology is you get a short story with other authors. So I don't know if you can see. These are the authors that are in the short stories. So she's got 4. You got 4 anthologies or 5? 4.
I've got more than this, but these were the only ones I could grab. And
I love the covers. So this is the Inner Circle Writers Group that put these on. And this one's 2018. And the name of this is Flashpoint. And so what's the story about in Flashpoint?
The story in there is called Fool on the Hill, which is a Beatles song. And it's it just explains who the fool on the hill might be.
Okay.
Because
cool.
again, the song is very vague.
And then we have, what's the next one?
Carrier Wave is a collection of comedies.
Ooh.
The story I submitted there is called Drive My Car.
Okay.
Which is, again, a Beatles song.
Yep.
And it's about a young woman who becomes a big star, and success is not good for her.
Aw, kind of like lottery winners. I hate those stories.
Like every pop star ever.
No coping skills, right?
Miracle is a collection
That's
of
beautiful.
Christian stories.
Oh, I love that.
Except mine is more of an ecumenical story. It has characters in it from several different religions.
Oh, cool.
And
explain that word.
Ecumenical, it just means cross faith.
Okay.
It means many faiths.
I like that.
They have they go to an international meeting of the faiths, and they discuss their different beliefs, and it turns out one of them isn't who she appears to be.
Oh, intriguing. I love intrigue. This is pretty too.
And Vortex, the publisher of these books does really nice covers.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Vortex is called a literary collection. That means that it's a little highbrow, but it's not off the chart highbrow.
Yeah.
The contribution I made to this one is called Old Brown Shoe, another Beatles song that George Harrison wrote. And this one is kind of along the lines of Five Legends, Five Guitars, because it's got George Harrison and Bob Dylan. George actually went to visit Bob in Woodstock in 1968.
Wow.
And it's what I imagined they might have said to each other about George's frustration of John and Paul keeping his songs off the albums.
Wow. Is that real?
Oh yeah.
It is?
Oh yeah. And I don't know what they said because I wasn't
Yeah,
there,
you weren't there, but you know that they did keep his songs off of the albums.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh wow. See, I love the Beatles music, but I'm not like a fan where I go and read all the articles. That would be my husband. He would read all the articles.
So Bob shares a secret with George about how he can get John and Paul to listen to his songs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So now the secret, though, is your secret, not a secret that's real.
I don't think it's real. No.
Okay.
It's a little alternative universe.
Oh, okay. So there's a little sci-fi, fantasy, alternative stuff. Is that true for all your books?
No. No, they cross genres. The two we talked about, actually, I said no, but maybe it is.
Okay.
I haven't done a real fact-based book yet. I think maybe the best description of my books is magical realism.
Ooh. Yes. That's a good.
It could happen if there was just a little magic in the world.
Oh, I love it. Magical realism. That's like a genre we need to.
It is a genre.
It is a genre. I like that. I didn't know that was a genre. I mean, there's like a million genres out there, right? But I love that. I think that's great. And the 3 that you're working on now, the trilogy, that's going to be a magical.
That's pretty straight sci-fi.
Is it straight sci-fi? Okay. Well, that's cool. Sci-fi is hugely popular. Hugely popular. I mean, we're talking anywhere from books to video and PC games to TV shows and Netflix and movies and all of it. So sci-fi is huge industry, huge. We all want a little bit of something different. We all want to be out of the mundane, right? We all want a little magnificence.
They used to call it escapism.
Escapism, yeah. We all want that. And even if it's sometimes dark escapism, it's still something that takes you out of your mundane life, your everyday stuff. Something a little bit cool. So awesome. Well, you got a lot going on. This is great. I mean, you've only been writing since 2016, you said? So you've already written all of these. Now, have you always written other than your clinical articles that you wrote?
No.
This is just something that you embraced on your afterwards.
I just started doing it.
Cool.
It took a lot of feedback, let's say, to stop writing in the academic vein and start writing in the fictional vein, because academic writing uses different sentence structure and different language
formatting everything
than fiction
Yes.
does. So I had to break some habits that I had learned as an academic. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
In order to make these books and stories readable.
Yeah. So that your readers could understand what you were trying to say and stick with you. Because you coming from academia, then you're kind of flat, there's not a lot of excitement and thrill and all of that stuff, right? So was that hard for you to like grasp and pull into your stories, or was it just like waiting to come through?
I still work at it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find with my writing, and probably because I've never done anything like what you've done, I've always been a creative person, just in different mediums. I have to tone down things. Like, I can like make, so my first book has every page, everything is a scene. It's scene after scene after scene after scene. And I had to cut some scenes because it was going to end up being, too much. Everybody's like, this is too much. There's too much going on in here. But the response I got from everybody, especially for my first book, was it was a page turner. I couldn't wait to get to the next page.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's like, then you have to decide, who do you listen to? Do you listen to your, the readers, or who you listen to, really, when it comes down to it, right? I mean,
Right.
that's who matters, is the readers. So really cool. Awesome. So you're working on your trilogy. Anything other than that you have coming up that you want to share with everybody?
I write a short story when the inspiration hits me, so there's probably some more short stories in the future.
And do you have a website that people can find you at?
I do. It's my name. Apparently, I'm the only Pam Van Allen in the United States. So I got PamVanAllen.com.
Cool.
PamVanAllen.com.
I love it. That's awesome. And then you have an author Facebook page as well?
And that's also Pam Van Allen.
And they can follow you there?
They can follow me there. I have my personal Facebook page is also Pam Van Allen.
And do you do much about your book on your personal page?
I try to keep it toned
Separated.
down.
Yeah. And then Twitter?
I don't understand Twitter very well.
Okay, that's okay. That's reasonable.
I mean, I'm on Twitter, but
don't try to get a hold of you there.
I don't know how to work it.
And then what about Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram, but it's the same.
Yeah. It's like you got to
how do you
choose
do
where you're going to
this?
put your energy, right?
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
And
And
Facebook, I can navigate. So.
yeah, Facebook's easy for us old ladies. Yeah, right. That's why I love it, because that's where we reside. That's where we hang out, right? Let the kids hang out on Instagram.
Or Snapchat or whatever.
Or
it is
Snapchat.
these
I don't
days.
even understand
know.
Snapchat. I have a Snapchat account, but like I go in there occasionally and we'll try to figure it out, because I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to go in here and do this, and I can't get it. Like, I don't even know. What am I doing?
I feel better now.
Yeah, and then when the freaking camera comes up, you're like, whoa, I don't have any,
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. So, I don't know where we're at on time here, because my phone, 3 minutes? Okay, I'm going to talk about my books for a minute. So we got you, and they can find you on Amazon. You are Pam Van Allen, and
That's right.
you got all your books. 5 Legends, 5 Guitars, Midnight on the Water, and then her 4 anthology. And these were published by
Lulu Press.
Lulu
you can
Press.
get these on Amazon on ebooks, but not paperback.
Not paperback, okay. And so I have some really exciting news. I think it is January 24th, and I'm going to say it again next Thursday. My books are currently at Women in Wine Country, Murder and Mayhem. Are currently now being held at the, you can find them at the Woodbridge Florist. And the ones at the Woodbridge Florist in Woodbridge are signed. So it's the place you can get signed edition. It's the only place you can get a signed edition unless you come and see me. And then the second book, Lawyer and Liar, which will, by the way, would make great Christmas presents, stocking stuffers, all of the above. This will be there as well. And I'm having a book signing for this at Clinker Brick. I believe it is January 24th, but I'll say again next Thursday when we come on, and over and over and over, everybody will get a chance to hear it. We're going to do a book signing there and a wine tasting, and it's going to be loads of fun. So I think we are going to wrap this up. Thanks, Pam, for coming on.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah,
Thanks, Terry.
it went fast, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming. I hope you come back
I
when you
will.
and your trilogy, your trilogy comes out. Come on back.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And then thanks everybody for coming. And you can find me on Facebook, T. Wells Brown, or on Women in Wine Country, www.com, womeninwinecountry.com. I said that wrong, but you guys know what I mean. Okay. I think that.